Hi, everyone.
Hello, thank you for joining us from the Agility Prime live feed. You are now in room 6 with Matt Chasen from Lift Aircraft. Thank you, Matt, for joining us.
My pleasure. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so Matt, you are there in Houston. Can you tell us a little bit about what's behind you there?
Yeah, actually, we're based in Austin,
Oh,
and
sorry.
this is our Hexa aircraft, which is an all-electric, multi-rotor designed to conform to the ultralight class in the U.S., which allows flight without a pilot's license, and we're flying today already, of course, as you saw from our video.
That's great. So, what are you most looking forward to in the next, from this whole Agility Prime process?
You know, we're excited to explore public use of the technology and the platform that we've created. I don't know if you can get a sense, but actually the top rotor crown of our aircraft, we call it, can be basically attached to other payloads. So this can be used for a number of other public and military sort of applications. For example, medical first response, air ambulance, disaster, anywhere you need to get a person somewhere quickly, over congested areas, with a small aircraft that can essentially take off and land in places that other larger vertical lift aircraft cannot. So we think there's a lot of uses, and we're excited to explore that with Agility Prime.
How did you guys get involved in this in the first place?
We are fortunate here in Austin. We have a wonderful group called the Capital Factory, which is an incubator. They're investors in our company, and part of the Capital Factory platform includes the Air Force AFWERX group, and so the Air Force is working closely with a lot of startups in the Austin area that have products and services that are relevant to Air Force. So we were introduced to the AFWERX folks, and then got connected into Agility Prime.
We have a great question from our viewers. What is the max payload capacity of your top section?
Yeah, so max payload is about 250 pounds. Now, we can actually go a bit higher than that, but you start to lose some of your redundancy. So at our max payload of about 250 pounds, we can lose up to 6 of our motors. We have 18 independent motors, propellers, and batteries designed to be extremely redundant. Unlikely that one fails, but it's extremely unlikely that up to 6 fail. So as you add payload, you reduce the excess thrust you have. You reduce your ability to lose more motors. So we're starting off pretty conservatively at 250 pounds.
And what is the flight duration per charge?
So that's going to vary a little bit, mostly by the weight of the pilot. But it's going to be typically in the range of 8 to 15 minutes. So not, we're limited like everybody else to existing lithium batteries and the energy density and power density available. We're starting this business and offering flights for recreation and sport use because that flight duration is very suitable for that market. People can fly our aircraft, experience a fantastic, exciting flight in 15 minutes and have a wonderful experience. Whereas long distance transportation, we're not, battery technology is really not there yet to allow longer flights.
Here's a great question that someone just asked. You mentioned that people can learn how to fly it. How do you learn how to fly if there's only one seat?
That is a great question. So we have a virtual reality training simulator that allows you to learn the controls and virtually fly the aircraft. We expect that's going to take about 30 to 60 minutes to complete. And before you fly the aircraft, you will pass a series of sort of tests that, make sure you understand the basics of flight controls, as well as, safety, orientation, and emergency procedures. So once you do that, the reason you're able to fly with such, little time invested in training is that the aircraft is mostly autonomous. So takeoffs, landings are autonomous. You do control where you're going with the joystick, but you're not flying in the traditional sense of like, traditional helicopters or rotorcraft, where you're actually moving the flight control surface. So the computer is stabilizing the aircraft, and you're just telling it where to go with the joystick. So we're able to limit your flights to safe areas, safe altitudes. We're able to map terrain and obstacles and other air traffic to make sure that you really can't do anything to hurt yourself.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you for that awesome Q&A. We are about to do something that's never been done before. We're about to go for a world record attempt at simultaneous breakouts. Are you up for that, Matt?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Candace, can you pop up our instructions for everyone so that we can show you what we need you to do to make this an official world record? If I can screen share this. All right. So if everyone can see this, the first thing we need to do when we're going to break you out here. So if you can take a picture of this, because this is not going to be on your screens. We'll need you to talk about yourselves, introduce yourselves, and what you love about flying cars, or why you're interested in being here. And then capture a screenshot or take a picture of the screen that you're in with your breakout. And like bonus points if you're actually smiling when you take this picture. And then share some message about the discussion that you had. So if you can use the hashtag AgilityPrime, or email us at info@agilityprime.com, and then post it online. Or if you don't want to post it online, like I said, you can email us at info@agilityprime.com. And the more posts, the more pictures that we get, the more we can count towards this record. So everyone that would love to be part of this, please contribute. And we're going to be breaking you out in Candace, if you could give me a countdown, you will be split up in just a few seconds. So thank you, and let's go. So
ready, 3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Hey, thank you for doing that. That was awesome. Did you all get your screenshots and you're going to send them on for everyone? Yeah, thumbs up. Cool. All right. So I am going to go back to Q&A with Matt. Unmute you, Matt. Hello.
There. That was fun.
Yeah. Did you have a productive conversation?
Yeah, met some people who have advanced reservations to fly on our upcoming tour. So
yeah, I was asked when the Philly dates are.
We had our first several cities scheduled to start this spring, but with the pandemic and social distancing and travel restrictions, it's pretty up in the air when we're gonna be able to reschedule. We hope for the fall, but like everyone else, I think we're just monitoring when it's safe, for us, our employees, and others, our customers, to actually start the tour. So
cool. And another question that people want to know is, how can they talk to you about a franchise?
Yeah, we have a really interesting program. I mentioned we're not selling aircraft directly to individuals, but we are partnering with venues that will be sites for our, lift aircraft bases for people to come fly. And we're also for investors who are interested. We're selling aircraft. Actually, we have our first 5 aircraft are already reserved, but we'll be letting investors buy aircraft and then revenue share with pilots under the rental program. So it's a really cool. It's pretty common in general aviation. Those of you who are pilots, probably, I don't know if you own aircraft, but leasing aircraft back to FBOs, fixed base operators, for other people to rent, either for training or for personal use, is very common. And so that's the model we see launching here. So we're going to let people own aircraft that are managed at locations, and they can participate in earning some revenue and income.
Cool. Can you point out where the batteries are?
The batteries on this aircraft are removed right now, but they're mounted underneath. If you can see, my hand is disappearing.
Yep.
But they're mounted directly underneath the motor pylons there. So we have a pretty unique system. Batteries tend to fail, and that's a problem if you have one big battery or even 2 big batteries. Batteries can be prone to failure. They're also, prone to thermal runaways. And so we have this pretty unique distributed battery system where instead of big central batteries, we have small batteries that drive each motor independently. So in the event of a battery failure, you only lose 1 of 18 motors. And in the very unlikely event of a thermal runaway, the batteries are out mounted underneath the motors, where it's less likely that you'll be injured by thermally runaway batteries. So we did both those for safety.
And how long do they take to recharge?
The batteries, as you can tell, since they're not shown on this aircraft right here, are removable. So the batteries actually charge. All the charging equipment is on the ground, and they take about 35 minutes to charge. But they'll charge in between our customers flying, and the swapping of the batteries is done by our own ground crew in between flights, and that can be done in just 5 minutes.
Cool. So you mentioned that it's okay to fly with not all of them on. So what is the minimum load of batteries?
Well, we can lose up to 6 motors of 18 and still have control of the aircraft to land stably. And it depends which 6 that would be. I didn't mention the sort of ultimate fail-safe that we have. You can see in the center of the rotor crown here, that black thing at the top is a ballistic parachute. And it's a very unique new kind of ballistic parachute that is effective at very, very low altitude. So as long as you're above about 30 to 40 feet above the ground, this ballistic parachute is able to deploy. It'll deploy autonomously. So if the flight controller detects that it has lost control of the aircraft for any reason, you don't even have to think or know when to deploy. The chute will deploy, and you'll get a nice, hopefully, soft landing on the ground.
What's your main use case for this?
So as an ultralight and without certification for other uses, we are limited to recreation and sport. But I say limited because we're really excited. We think that flying vertical lift aircraft, flying essentially a large drone, is something that a lot of people want to do. I think a lot of people aspire to fly. It's one of the most enduring aspirations really in human history. And it's unfortunate that flying today, private flying, individual piloting of aircraft, is really limited to people with the money, the time, and the skill to get a traditional private pilot's license. So this, this model of opening locations and letting people fly for around $250 for a 15-minute flight is really, we think, going to open up the market for people to experience flying. So one of our advisors is the founder of iFly, which has developed 40 plus locations around the world where people experience skydiving indoors. And so there's a huge market for what's called experiential entertainment. And we think flying is one of the most exciting things that anyone can do. And really, for the first time in history, it's now easy enough and safe enough using distributed electric propulsion and modern flight controls that anyone can do it. So we think there's a huge market for that. We're going to be focused on that for the first couple of years. We're obviously exploring with Agility Prime some other public uses and military uses. And then, we think certification of these kinds of aircraft for transportation uses is going to be still a ways off, many years off. So in the meantime, we're leveraging this market for experiential entertainment, which we think in and of itself is going to be a huge opportunity.
Great. So we have time for one last question before we send everybody back to agilityprime.com for the rest of today's great programming. So I would love you to tell us what you find most intriguing about flying cars.
I'm one of these, aviation nerds who has just been infatuated with flying. I started my career at NASA, worked for Boeing, got my private pilot's license. I followed the very early flying car stuff, Paul Mahler and Mahler International and the Sky Car. And what is super exciting to me is that we truly are on the cusp of this being real. In fact, the aircraft behind you and the video that was shown earlier is like, I've flown it, and I can tell you that this will be one of the most exciting things that anyone ever does in their lives. And the experience of taking off vertically is so magical, and to do it in such a small, lightweight aircraft in a way that we think is going to be safer than any other ultralights and many other general aviation aircraft is truly remarkable. But we're excited to see where this leads and down the road, but further future transportation uses as well. So I can't wait to be flying around, my city of Austin here, commuting to work in 5 minutes instead of 15 minutes. That's going to be great. But in the meantime, we're excited to start letting people fly just for fun.
Great. So I'm putting the link of the afternoon session right in the channel here. So everybody, thank you very much, Matt. You can go to Lift Aviation.
Lift Aircraft.
Oh, Lift Aircraft, sorry, liftaircraft.com and sign up there. And for the rest of today's programming, please go to that YouTube link and you will see the rest of today. So thank you so much for joining us. And
thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Bye, everyone.